That was the amazing Mary Watkins. We're glad you're here with us, Mary. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of San Leandro's Sunday morning meditation and message. We're glad you've joined us this morning to worship the God of your understanding. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living, and we honor all paths to God and provide a philosophy that is spiritual, not religious. We're love-based, not based in fear. I'm Reverend Diana McDaniel. I'm a Unity minister, and I'm here at home for us to continue worshiping together, and we're glad you joined us this morning. We have an opening prayer, and I invite you to join me in that prayer. Those of you who know it, you can say it along with me. It begins, "There is." And so I invite you just to close your eyes, be in that place of tuning into that infinite spirit of wisdom. And we begin, "There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in our lives, in our affairs, God the good. There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent." And so it is. We are in the state of California, and we are wearing masks, and they're actually recommending that we wear masks inside and outside. And we are still washing hands, doing what we need to do, because we are not quite done with this pandemic. It may go on for quite a bit longer. We are continuing in our goal of cultivating calm and releasing anxiety. And this morning, as usual, we have George McDaniel, who is reading our daily word.
Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. I like that shirt.
Thank you, Reverend. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody had a great week and is looking forward to another great week. Today is Sunday, August 8th, the year 2021. The word for today is protected. Through my oneness with God, I feel protected. Sometimes I may feel at the mercy of a changing, tumultuous world I cannot control. This is never true. Even though the chaos of the world may swirl around me, at the center of my being is a place of perfect peace and calm. Whenever I am in need of a safe refuge, I turn to God within to reach this place of tranquility and reclaim my feeling of security and protection. The sun always rises after the longest, darkest night. I remind myself of this truth and feel grateful as I allow the light of spiritual understanding to release and reclaim whatever power I may have unwittingly given to a fear-based thought. Fully in tune with the divine presence within me, I move safely and confidently through every challenging circumstance. In the scripture for today, the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. That scripture is found in 1 John, 4th chapter, 4th verse.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you. We have had a statement that Unity, a prayer actually, that Unity has provided us that we had been using during this whole pandemic. And then we changed it a little bit and did the prayer for the wounded heart of humanity. And I want to go back to using the one that came out right after the pandemic did. So I'm going to invite you to turn within and listen to these words. We know that God is a love that has no end and a power that knows no bounds. God's healing power of divine life is restoring, healing, and revitalizing our world in this very moment. We let go of any fears or anxieties, and we affirm that all are safe, healthy, and protected. We bless all those who support us in maintaining vibrant, radiant health. We express divine life in all we think, say, and do. We bless our global family with radiant health, peace of mind, and abundant love. And so now we move into a time of meditation where I invite you just to breathe and relax and move into that idea of goodness. So we tune into that presence and that power that's known by so many different names. And so it's Holy Spirit, or divine mind, or divine love, or Allah, or Goddess, or Almighty Spirit. Whatever name you choose, this presence and power is known by many, many, many different names. And so I invite you to open your hands and open your hearts, open your minds, and be in that place of creating a new Jerusalem. So we breathe and breathe and breathe and breathe. We give thanks for the breath. We give thanks for the ability to breathe, that we woke up this morning, that we can look around and just enjoy the day. I invite you to breathe again and take a deep breath. Let go all the busyness. Let go all the challenges and anything that you're worried about. We just let it go. This morning we tune into that idea that there is an indwelling something that is within us that is greater than anything we have to meet in the world. That it paves the way, that it smooths things out. That divine love dissolves all that's unlike itself in our lives. And I invite you just to open your hands like you're receiving a gift. And just be in that place of being open and receptive to that living spirit of love. To feel it moving in and through you, hugging you, blessing you. And so again, we breathe, and if you have a prayer request, I invite you to bring it to mind, so we can bring to mind whatever your heart's desires are. It's nothing too large, nothing too small. We know that with God all things are possible. Knowing that as we've thought of the prayer, or whatever the request was, that something good is happening. And for that, we are grateful. And so we pray in the name and through the power of the living Christ, that good is indeed happening. And so it is. Amen. is. Thank you, Mary. Can you turn? Yeah, I was going to say, now I can see you. Thank you. Mary's going to play for us. Yay, Mary! I'm just hearing all the applause. It was wonderful, so beautiful. Thank you. George, can you see that?
Yes, it was.
It was there?
Yeah, there it is.
And is it,
It's not the whole screen.
it's not the whole screen, but you can see it
Very clearly.
very clearly. Okay. So I want to just sort of leave it like that because it hasn't been working quite the way I would like it to, but this is a PowerPoint. And the question is, how has the pandemic changed your world? So let me start over and say, good morning, and how are you today? I have an affirmation that I have been using. I love affirmative prayers. This one is, I have the divine capability of overcoming every challenge in life. I have the divine capability of overcoming every challenge in life. Because I remember with God all things are possible. Now in 1 John, George read it from the Daily Word today, and this is just a little different version. It's the full one. 1 John chapter 4, verse 4. Little children, you are from God and have conquered them, for the one who is in you is greater than the one who is in the world. So we humans, and let me speak for this human, I like to control my life, and maybe you do too. But we have not been quite able to do that with this pandemic. So this morning I have some questions for you. One is, how has the pandemic changed your world? And then, I wanted you to be able to see it so that you could write it down if you want to. The second question is, how has the pandemic changed you? How has this pandemic changed you inside? And 3, let's see, which of these changes do you want to take into the future? So we begin again with, how has the pandemic changed your world? Well, I see it sort of like it's changed it both for the better and for the worse. You know, there's stores that are having to close because of people brazenly stealing things without anyone stopping them. Then on the other hand, we see neighbors helping neighbors, going to the store to help senior citizens, carrying things, going out of their way to help. But how's it changed my world? You know, how is it when you wake up in the morning? What's your schedule for the day? Is it different than it was before the pandemic? I now work home daily. I used to get up, get ready, go out, I'd be in the office by a certain hour, and now I sleep later. But I work from home and I'm doing just as much. George tells me I'm doing more, but we have our church services. That's different for me. We have our church services like now, broadcasting. I'm home. And we have our classes on Zoom. My counseling services are on the phone or Zoom. And for the kids who've been Zooming their classes, they've missed their friends. Their whole schedule, their whole world has changed. I have to plan differently. I remember one night George and I went out, we were going to get some gas. Gas stations were closed. Now that's changed now, but in the beginning of this, in the middle of this pandemic, we had some gas stations that were closed. Right now, McDonald's and various fast food places and many businesses don't have enough employees to serve their customers the way they were prior to the pandemic. So things have changed. And then the question is, how has the pandemic changed you? You know, I find I'm less patient sometimes. That's one of the ways I've seen. I'm less patient with frivolity, things that are not important to me. You know, there are life and death situations and serious issues that I find that I'm more attentive to. My devotional time is deeper. I don't know about yours, if you've been reading more, watching movies more, doing what. But how has the pandemic changed you? You know, I order groceries online. I tip better. I appreciate my home more. I appreciate my husband more. Not that I didn't appreciate him before in the family, but there is something that's deeper and I feel that is really much more appreciative. And the pandemic has made me realize life is short. So what is important to me? So how has the pandemic changed you inside? And then which of these changes do you want to take with you into the future? That is the third one. There you go. You know, I want to take the focus on important issues, like transforming myself into being a better person, to being more loving, and mastering my existence here on earth. You know, that's what I want to take into the future. I want to see people being more mindful, more thoughtful about others. I want to see people caring enough about themselves and others to wear masks. So the questions have been, how has the pandemic changed your world? How has the pandemic changed you? And which of these changes do you want to take with you into the future? I was reading about a woman whose world has changed. Her name is Dasha Kelly. You may have read about her. She's a single mother of 3 little girls. She lost her job due to COVID when times were off at a casino because she was a card dealer. She lost her job. Her children are 5 years old, 6 years old, and 8 years old. She said everything was fine prior to COVID. And she decided to create a GoFundMe asking for help because she couldn't pay her rent. She had pawned everything. She was down to a sofa, a little TV. Her kids were sleeping on a pad on the floor in their second bedroom, and she was sleeping directly on the floor. She had been giving blood plasma, which she would get $100 each time so she could buy food. She got some federal help for food. And she said, but here she had been threatened because she was the second month down in her rent, and the federal moratorium on evictions was expiring, and she was going to have to leave. She received several letters from her landlord. She said she'd been working since she was 16 years old, and she was doing fine until COVID. What she seemed to be so upset about was she said she didn't do anything wrong. She said, I was doing well at work. I got along with everybody. I was doing my job. I was there on time. She said it wasn't my fault. It wasn't her fault. Her daughters sleep on a pad. Well, she made this GoFundMe. CNN was scanning, looking for people who were in trouble because they were doing a story on this moratorium ending, the eviction moratorium ending. And so they reached out to her. She said when they knocked on the door, she was afraid to answer it because she thought someone was there to evict her. She said it's too hot in Las Vegas to be homeless. Well, CNN did a story on her. We put it on television. And as of Saturday night, her fundraiser reached $232,000. She had not received one donation in a whole month of her GoFundMe being online until CNN told her story. She said, it gave me a lot of hope, and I just want to make sure I do the best that I can to help the next person that is in my same situation. She has expressed gratitude for the donations, and she is paying off her entire lease. She said she added that in addition to donating some of the money, that's her plans, to charity, and to be able to buy a car because she had to sell her car. Now she'll be able to get to work when she can get work, and she would also put money aside for her 3 daughters. Her world changed. Her world changed due to a job layoff, due to the coronavirus. But now it's changing again, due to almost 4,000 donors. You see, no matter who we are, or what our circumstances in life, at times we all have desperate needs that can be met only by falling back on an inner resource. Whether our need for healing or peace or wisdom or supply, in order to meet it successfully, we require something to fall back on, a law, if you want to call it that is strong and reliable, sound and unchanging. A law that we can use to transcend all human imagined and human reasoned aspects of life, the universe, and our own being. If you're confronted with a situation that you feel is beyond your ability to solve, or maybe it's beyond your capacity to even understand, it's imperative that you remember this specific truth about yourself, that you remember who you are, that you are a child of God, that you have the divine capability of overcoming every challenge in life. It's important that you take this statement deep into yourself, into your heart, and into your mind. You know, I believe in using affirmative statements. Use like speaking to yourself. Use them as consciousness conditioners until you feel that light and assurance and that peace and that power. You say them over and over again until they become a part of your daily thought. So here's the one for today. I have the divine capability of overcoming every challenge in life. I have the divine capability of overcoming every challenge in life. There is that within me that is greater than anything in the world. There's only one presence. There's only one power. And best of all, with God, all things are possible. The key to working with this spiritual law is to start with God, to remember that there's only one presence and one power in any situation, in any challenge, that you are not alone. Then to give all that attention of the heart and the soul and the mind and the strength to that one presence and that one power. In our prosperity class, there we have the 10 prosperity statements, and the first one is, I look only to God as my source. I look only to God as my source. And this is not always easy when you have emotions and you have bills to pay and you have thoughts that are caught up by the disturbing events of the world. But we do it anyway, even when you're nervous, even if you have to clench your teeth and say, I have the divine capability. You get it? Even when you're not feeling like it's true. Periodically, I like to change things, so you can tell I'm talking about change this morning. I like to change things around in my house and in the kitchen or wherever we're sitting to watch TV, and I like to move the furniture around sometimes, and I was sharing some ideas. I was just talking, throwing some ideas out, sharing some ideas of where things could go. My husband George says, everybody doesn't like change. He said, everybody doesn't like to change things around. And I remember chuckling. I had to chuckle. And that is so true. Change shakes us up. And it takes time to get used to change, whatever the change is. And sometimes it feels like the universe is shifting things around in order for transformation to occur, for us to change inside and outside. For us to become aware that it's time to put new wine in new wine skins. I was at the zoo once, and there was a new snow leopard that had been shipped in, and that snow leopard was lying on the ground just shaking. It was just shaking, lying on its side. And the person who was the tour guide said, it'll take time for the snow leopard to adjust to his new environment. We have to adjust many times, and sometimes we're shaking like that, and especially when we're scared. And my heart goes out to all those who've lost homes in the fires, and when a marriage ends or a job ends, like Dasha Kelly's, being fired, when parents split up and the children have to go from one home to another, back and forth. It takes years to adjust. Changes can be extremely difficult. Can you imagine when Africans were forced to leave their home continent, their home environment, to become enslaved people? Every part of their environment was different. The language, the landscape, the seasons, the way of life. Along with indigenous peoples, changes were forced. There's a backlash in our country going on right now because there are those who don't want to give up systemic racism. It has been the American way of life. But changes are occurring, and there is a resistance to the change. We have the pandemic, which has forced a big change. Many people are working from home, affecting sandwich shops, clothing stores, landlords. Small businesses, which have been the backbone of our economy, are struggling. Some are closing. And then there's some that are opening, like Annabelle's new restaurant, which is so wonderful. Cocoa Breeze is the name of it. Food is delicious. When the Model T Ford was produced, the horse and buggy business went out by the wayside. Those businesses that supported horses went kaput. When electricity caught on, the kerosene business died. The computers and internet has caused much change, including impacting TV, newspapers, bookstores. Now we have electric cars, and they're impacting the oil industry. Well, what I'm saying is things change. And there's not much control that we have over it. With COVID, we were adapting. We were washing our hands, being very careful, social distancing. And then there came the vaccine, and everybody's happy. We got our vaccines, and 50% of Americans now are fully vaccinated. And then we recently started going out to restaurants, and we were adapting to not wearing a mask. If you were vaccinated, you were feeling like things might get back to normal. But oh goodness, there's another change. There are new variants, the Delta Plus, and the blah, 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 the whatever variants. And we have to adapt again. They're talking about booster shots. So, scientists and doctors are learning more, and the COVID variants are changing, mutating. There's all these changes. We kind of feel like that snow leopard. We get a little shaky, We're feeling upset, powerless, angry. Are you feeling overwhelmed by it all? Let me say, we will survive this. We have the divine capability of overcoming every challenge in life. We have out of control fires around the world, not just in California. With melting ice caps, rising shorelines, droughts. We've been forced to recognize changes in our climate. Change is happening, and we're forced to deal with new ways of living coming into existence. But remember, people like cars as a mode of transportation more than they did the horses and buggies. Electricity is safer and brighter than kerosene lamps. So something good is coming out of this. Change is not necessarily better or worse. More people are working from home, and it's likely that we will be wearing masks for many more years, or maybe forever. People don't like change. However, we have the divine capability of overcoming every change, every challenge in life. We remember with God all things are possible. In Romans 12:2, it reads, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." So I think it's time to relax and go with the flow. Let's trust changes that are happening will ultimately be good changes. So we trust in the goodness of God. And then in Mark chapter 2, verse 22. "And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise the wine will burst the skins and the wine is lost. And so are the skins, but one puts new wine into fresh wineskins." You see, you can't put new ideas into old mindsets. You can't get new results with old behaviors. So I suggest with this interruption and disruption of the COVID virus, something new will come forth that with old behaviors could not before. With humanity not liking change, our goal is not to resist change, but is to allow it, to function in the now, not to be the dinosaur, but to embrace the paradigm shift. The pandemic has changed our world, and one day we'll say, what a wonderful world. So your assignment is to journal and to answer those questions. How has the pandemic changed your world? How has the pandemic changed you? Which of these changes do you want to take with you into the future? There is a presence and a power that's ready to help us in any situation in life. Just like Dasha Kelly and her 3 little girls are being helped. It will lift us out of a challenge of any kind. It would help us leap over tall buildings, help us leap over any wall, surmount any obstacle. conquer any fear, vanquish any enemy of mind, body, or affairs, but there are steps to take, there are things to be learned, efforts to be made to lead us out of the old ways of thinking and overcoming. So the idea is to have new thoughts, to embrace the new, to have new beliefs, new feelings, to help us bring about this new Jerusalem. We are pouring new wine into new wine skins. Remember, if you're confronted with a situation that you feel is beyond your ability to solve or beyond your capacity to understand, it's imperative that you remember the truth about yourself, that you have the divine capability to overcome every challenge in life, that you know that with God all things are possible, that you get still and repeat the words to yourself until you can believe them, until you can feel it, till you can feel assured and feel that peace and power. Say them over and over again until they become a part of you, part of your daily thought. Say the words aloud to yourself right now. I have the divine capability of overcoming every challenge in life. I have the divine capability of overcoming every challenge in life. I know with God all things are possible, that there is that which is within me that's greater than whatever I have to meet in the world. And that, my friends, is really the truth. And so it is. And this morning, we have Cherry Anderson singing. It is a recording. And let's see if I can pull it up real quick. There.
And it's entitled Aspire. It goes something like this.
When I stay with it, I can see my dream. Divine timing is more fulfilling. Recognize blessings and the miracles set before me. Things happen for a reason, good or bad, it's a season in preparation for each day. When I say I have success, 'cause I've done my best.
you, thank you, thank you. That was Cherry Anderson, a song she wrote called Aspire. So I invite you now to be in that place of saying our offering blessing with me. You can go to unitysanleandro.org, and there's a donate button, and we accept and we are appreciating any offerings that you give. It goes directly to the church. So, divine love. So you hold your pockets or your wallet, pocketbook, be in that place of opening yourself to the idea of prosperity. And divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, and all the good I give and receive. I am grateful. And so it is. And so we give thanks for your gifts and bless you and see you prospering in every good way. We have our coffee hour at 12 noon. I'm looking at my watch. In just a few minutes, if you go to that same website, unitysanleandro.org, there's a coffee cup that has cream in it in the shape of a heart. So you click on that, and it'll take you right into our virtual coffee hour. We call it Let's Connect Virtual Coffee Hour. You can come for 5 minutes, or you can come for the whole hour. We'd love to see you. Then we have Mastermind Prayer on Wednesdays at 6:30. And we have Tuesday mornings at 9, we have a prosperity, what we call them prosperity mornings. So Tuesday mornings at 9, you can click on that same coffee cup with cream in it, and it'll bring you right into the class. Now for Mastermind, it's different. So you have to go online to the website, look for the calendar, and you can find how to get to the Mastermind prayer group. That's from 6:30 to 7. And then 7:05, we're beginning a new class. I'm not quite sure what book it is yet, but on Wednesday night, we love coming together and talking and sharing. Okay, so our goal is for us to create that wonderful world, to have some new ideas, new results. And so we just give thanks for you being with us today. And remember that the light of God surrounds us, that the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let there be peace on earth. Have a wonderful